let's continue the conversation in the oil and gas industry and staying with the petroleum subsector, which remains a key area of interest. And this is not surprising as a result of ongoing policy changes in the sector, inclusive of government's full weight behind deregulation and the final removal of subsidies on petrol. And then news just in says that the deliberations on the petroleum industry bill by the National Assembly has been shifted to the first quarter of next year. And that's coming from the Minister of State from the Petroleum Resources, Mr. Timipre Silva, and that's the feelers that we're getting this morning. But then let's get a reaction of the Chief Executive Officer of the Center for Financial Journalism, Ray Echebiri, to analyze this development in addition to other issues in the petroleum sector. Good morning, Mr. Echebiri. Thanks for joining us on the program. Well, let's begin this conversation with the feelers that we're just getting now, that deliberations for the PIB deliberation has been shifted to 2021. Did you see this coming again?
Of course, I saw it coming. As a matter of fact, it's one issue I don't like to discuss anymore. The PIB has become some kind of rolling stone, and it's said that rolling stone doesn't gather anymore. It can't gather anymore. A bill that is as old as man, and we're still discussing it. What for? I don't understand what the National Assembly wants to do with PIB. Is either want to be serious or we don't want to be serious. I mean, this bill has been there for years. And just recently, everybody was excited. Oh, once again, the National Assembly is ready to discuss it and possibly pass it as quickly as possible and then send it to the president for his signature. But now we are hearing that the discussion has been moved to next quarter, first quarter of next year. That may not be the last shift. So it keeps shifting. It keeps shifting. And it's bad for us. It's bad for the petroleum industry. It's bad for our economy. It's bad for Nigeria. That is the truth.
I was just going to ask that. What would be the implications of this?
Yeah, the implication is the wait-and-see game continues for all investors who are interested in investing in the oil industry in Nigeria, the oil and gas industry in Nigeria. Because that is the bill, or when it becomes law, that will give us all the compass that we need, I mean, especially for investors in the oil and gas industry to move in the right directions. But now it's not there, and nobody knows when it will be there. So everybody that is operating there now is just like blind piloting.
But the lawmakers probably want to make sure that we get it right when it's eventually passed.
No, how long will it take forever to get a bill right, to get something right? No, it shouldn't. If it is getting forever to get it right, then there's a problem. There's a problem. To my view, it's sad. In fact, I was excited that it's going to be discussed by the National Assembly eventually, and possibly quickly passed and then sent to the president. But now, we are hearing that it's been shifted to first quarter 2021.
Right, so we just have to wait and see what comes out of it.
Let's keep waiting.
Yes, indeed. So you heard the position of Ferguson earlier about the development in the petroleum sector. What are your thoughts about the full deregulation of this sector?
I think it's one of the best policies that's coming out of this country about this time. I have been saying that it should happen. Full deregulation, not this one of 20% deregulation, 30% deregulation. In fact, at the time, I said, if we are doing piecemeal deregulation, 10%, 20%, 30%, there will be no end to it. There can never be an end to it. Why? For two reasons. This is an internationally traded commodity. So the price is not within the control of Nigeria or Nigerians, no. So the price keeps moving up and down in the international market. So you just have to plug in. It's something beyond your control. So the second one is because of exchange rate changes, that is movement in the exchange rate. You cannot say, oh, you are 20% or you are 30%. When you think you have moved to 50%, maybe the exchange rate will move or the price will move. You go back to 30, depending on the way it is. You go back to 30, or you go to 60 or 70, depending on how the price is moving, whether it's going up or down, depending on how the exchange rate is moving, whether it's going up or down. So the best thing is to say, please, let's clear this full deregulation, and then see how that's going, things going to work out for us, and begin to put the necessary framework in place to make sure it works for us.
Now, one of the things that the Pengasyn president mentioned was the fact that they want the Pengasyn to, of course, actually make their input in the PIB before the National Assembly. What would you say to that?
What were they waiting for this while? The PIB has been there for how many years? So why didn't they make their inputs all this while? So let them keep making, let them keep preparing their inputs until their kingdom come. Then we'll begin to look at PIB once again. So let them keep.
But then they had mentioned that they were not carried along in all of this in the past.
Why were they not carried along? Sometimes you do not wait to be carried along when it comes to matters like this. No, Pengasyn and Nupeng, if it comes to maybe say any of the refineries or any of the oil companies doing anything to their staff and all that, would they say, oh, let's just wait until we're carried along before we intervene and all that? They move in immediately and say, no, you can't do this. PIB has been there. Those people should have moved in immediately. Say, even you don't just wait. If you like, make your own proposal. Send your own position to the National Assembly and insist that the government incorporates that. And you keep pushing. If it is any other thing, they would have kept pushing. And the government would have listened to them. That is the truth.
Now, in what areas would you suggest that the federal government should come up with a free market structure as the government ramps up efforts for revenue generation?
This is part of it. The full deregulation of the downstream sector of the petroleum and gas industry. This is part of it. If you look at this year's budget and look at what is trickling in as revenue, you know that it's going to be really tough. So federal government needs all the revenue it can generate, it can get from any source, to really fund the budget properly. Now, all this while, we've been losing money as a result of the subsidy on fuel. If that is removed, a whole lot of money will be saved from that to fund both soft and physical infrastructure. Now, let me put it this way. If you give me subsidy on fuel that I'll put in my car, and they say, now, would you also consider driving on a well-paved road? I will take a well-paved road. Take your subsidy. It's better for me. One, it will definitely cost me less at the end of the day. Driving time, I will save that. The wear and tear on my car, I will save that. And then the luxury of driving on a well-paved road. I mean, you can, if you are being driven, if you are driven, you can even slip off. And they feel good. And what of your health? So, it's a better deal any day.
All right, I'd like to thank you, Chief Executive Officer of the Center for Financial Journalism, Mr. Ray Chebere. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.